Hey, Dr. Iberman. So what we're going to talk about today, while we're flipping the script here, I'm going to do a quick overview of each of the articles that we were assigned to read this week. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to go ahead and tie all of them together in my own way. So the first article we were assigned was about interest convergence in the education of African American football players that play at a major college or like a D1 university. So basically, this theory of interest convergence was developed by a guy named Derek Bell, and what he described was that these opportunities that we think that we're giving African Americans to play football at a big university and to get this big university degree or education is in fact harming their ability to get that education that we think that we're giving them. To make that make a little more sense, you know, when an African American football player goes to one of these big schools to play football, the amount of time that they have to put into it, the amount of time and effort, it interrupts their ability to actually learn. And then along with that, the universities tend to try and force these African American dudes playing football to take super easy classes and to kind of try and glide or just sail straight through their curriculum without taking anything that's actually challenging or anything that they're going to be able to take with them when they leave college. In fact, I think it said that only about 48% of African Americans that play football at these big universities actually end up graduating. And this is a problem. And the real problem that Derek Bell talks about is the fact that we think that we're actually doing them a favor, when in fact we're gaining all this revenue from their talents and such, and we feel like these universities feel like they own the talent of these African American dudes, and this is shown in the some of the legal cases that the article brings up, where African Americans will sue the school because their participation in the sport has trapped them and has made them not able to get the education that they want to get. They're not getting the grades that they need to get because they're putting too much time into the sport, and they actually end up losing these cases and saying that the school practically owns their talent. Next article is about limited literacy in older people. Basically what this says is that in the elderly there are two different categories when it comes to their literacy. There's a below a ninth grade level, and then there is above a ninth grade level or reading level. And about 24% of the elderly actually have below that ninth grade reading level. And it talks about the fact that it's important because when we are assigning, when we're trying to get them healthcare and when we're trying to get them to come to routine visits and get treatment for all these things, for all these diseases or pathologies that they have, when they can't understand, some of the things that are on the what we think are simple worksheets or these simple applications that they need to fill out to get appointments and stuff like that, they're unable to get the health care that they need because they'll make excuses to not have to fill out that paper because they can't read it, and they may feel dumb because they can't read it. They won't ask for help, and that reduces the amount of health care that they'll actually end up receiving. The next article is about writing and designing readable patient education materials. Basically, this one talks about whenever we go to assign, like a web-based program for our patient to go look at, or we give them a pamphlet or a small handout that we want them to look at so that they can get a better idea about the treatment that they're going to get or the rehab plan that they're about to follow. It brings to light that some patients only have a fifth grade reading level, and some patients they don't have that high school or even college level level of literacy or of healthcare literacy that our healthcare literacy tends to kind of sit around. We tend to write and to inform at a ninth grade or above reading level, and this can affect our ability to properly inform our patients because we're talking in a level that they can't fully understand or comprehend. Next article is about the role of effective communication with children and their families for their adherence to pediatric regimens. The main part about this article is that it says that it's important to get across to the parents as well as the child that the side effects are totally outweighed by the benefits of the treatment of the program that we're assigning to their patient. Also, there needs to be a good line of communication between the child, the parents, as well as the physician. And then finally, there's the last article is about secondary prevention risk interventions via telemedicine and tailored patient education. So basically what this article kind of talks about is how we can use telemedicine in a communication effort, or even from a technological standpoint, our ability to make it easier or get better patient adherence to their regimens, or their disease regimens. The article is mainly based around patients with kidney failure, those that are on dialysis. They used a three-armed approach where they had a standard care that used a telephone line of communication between the patient and the physician, or the nurses. And then the second arm was where they used a web-based program where they would be able to access this web-based program from home, and then also have the standard of care that was included in the first arm. And then the third is the control group, which just received the standard of care. What the article found was that web-based program was actually more effective in having them better monitor their blood pressure, their fluid retention, their fluid consumption, and everything that they need to make sure that they are translating or transferring back to the physician or the nurses, so that they can make sure that they're staying on line with their progress. So bringing this all together, at first it was kind of hard for me to try and piece these together and see how they fit into a puzzle, but I feel like they're not as much a puzzle as they are kind of like a chain link, or a chain link fence or something like that. So, I've got interest convergence over here, and then I've got the role of effective communication with children and their families down here. But what I didn't originally understand is that there are all these pieces that kind of join the chain link fence in between. And so somehow they're kind of all related, just not directly related. So for example, for interest convergence, interest convergence, whenever we're making these patient education materials and we're using a healthcare literacy level that's too high for our patients, we think that we're sounding smart, we think that we're educating our patient at the highest level that we can so that they'll have better adherence, but really in the end we're actually just hurting their ability to comprehend or do what we're trying to get them to do. But there's that interest convergence where we feel like we're actually helping them. It's kind of a delusion. When it comes to limited literacy in older people, and then writing and designing readable patient education materials as well, those are related just because you have to take into account the reading level and the individualistic abilities of your elderly patient, your child patient, or just your average patient that reads at an 8th grade reading level. And then finally, you have to, whenever you're using telemedicine, you have to have that understanding of whether or not your patient has the digital literacy that you're trying to assign the work with, or the care with.